Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 22. Do you really have an engagement? Asked Hui Shang. Shen Ka replied with a simple yes. Sorry, I didn't mention it before. Li Shu was still in a daze, then suddenly remembered that he also had a confusing engagement. He was about to say something when Shen Kao continued, I didn't tell you too because I won't agree to this marriage. Don't let young Miss Zhang know of this, though. Li Shu immediately shut his mouth, thinking that he wouldn't agree to his own engagement either. It's better to avoid unnecessary trouble. His facial expression returned to anger and he whispered, So, did you deliberately find an excuse for her to give up? Shen Kao nodded slightly. Don't worry, I can keep a secret, but someone might slip up after drinking too much porridge. Li Shu looked meaningfully at Hui Shang. Hui Shang remained silent for a moment before saying, No, since Brother Cao has no intention, why bother to do something useless? It's better not to give infatuated people false hope. That's Brother Cao's intention, right? The people around gradually dispersed, and those invited by the county magistrate began to leave in their carriages. Hui Shang was not among them, urging them to catch up quickly. Outside the city gate, there were several carriages parked. As they passed by, the curtains of one on the side suddenly lifted and Zhang Moyang impatiently shouted, Get in the carriage quickly. Inside the carriage, the atmosphere was very strange. Zhang Moshan kept her head down and remained silent, while Zhang Moyang stared at Shen Kao intently, occasionally letting out a cold snort. Li Shu glared back at him. Shen Kao withdrew his gaze from the window and saw these two locking eyes like roosters. Zhang Moyang finally gave in, rubbing his eyes and looking displeased. Now it's a mess. That little brat Fang Kaiyang will definitely come to harass Moshan later. Shen Kao asked, Does the county magistrate know about this? He turns a blind eye. Fang Kaiyang is his eldest son and of marriageable age. The townspeople all like Moshan, so he's eager for her to marry over and elevate his reputation without much effort on his part. Zhang Moyang didn't know what he was thinking as his face became even more unpleasant. We have not been receiving any marriage proposal in recent years. For sure, the Feng family were coercing others behind our backs. Zhang Moshan raised her head and tried to comfort her brother. Calm down. We'll be at the Feng residence soon. It's just a meal. After we finish eating, we'll leave. Zhang Moyang looked at the two men sitting opposite him. One was the person his sister liked, but unfortunately, this damned person actually had an engagement. The other was his choice for his sister's husband, but this man who was supposed to be married in their family suddenly fell in love with a man, and according to unreliable rumors, the person he liked might be Zhang Moyang himself. It was terrifying. In short, neither of them could marry his sister, but in this town, there was no third man with their looks. The carriage stopped and everyone got off one by one. Li Shu and Shen Ka raised their heads at the same time, looking at the two large characters on the plaque Fang residence, and followed behind the Zhang siblings, walking side by side into the house. Inside, some guests had already arrived and were busy cozying up to the county magistrate. When they entered, the county magistrate's face became warmer, obviously welcoming Zhang Moyang, while the two men behind him were just incidental. Although Li Shu was attending the banquet as the winner of the Golden Chrysanthemum Festival, no one cared about it now. So, they naturally became transparent. Before long, Fang Kaiyang reappeared in the hall, wearing a neat and expensive outfit. He saw Zhang Moshan at a glance, and with his hands behind his back, he strode over with great pomp. Young Miss Zhang, apologies for the wait. Zhang Moshan, I'm not waiting for you. I heard that you like osmanthus, so I specially planted osmanthus in the backyard for you to admire. Can I invite you to appreciate it? Zhang Moshan had not yet answered when people around laughed and cheered. Young Master Fang is really thoughtful. Young Master Fang's friendship with young Miss Zhang is truly admirable. Unfortunately, I'm a man, otherwise, I would want to marry young Master Fang, myself. Everyone laughed and suddenly a clear voice sounded in the crowd, even if you're a man, you can still marry him. Our dynasty is open-minded and can accommodate your preferences. Young Master Feng is suitable for you." Everyone was stunned and looked towards the speaker. It was a young man sitting half on the doorstep, looking casual with one hand propping up his cheek as he spoke nonchalantly. That face was unforgettable, and almost instantly, everyone remembered that he was the winner of the Golden Chrysanthemum Festival today. This young gentleman must be jesting. The person who spoke just now smiled awkwardly. "I was just making a joke." "Lu Shu, you dare to make jokes at young Master Feng's expense?" The person's face stiffened and immediately looked towards the county magistrate and Fang Qiang, hurriedly explaining himself. Fang Qiang stared straight at Lu Shu, cursing him inwardly, but upon noticing his shabby attire, he felt somewhat relieved. What's the use of being handsome? Master Zhang wouldn't marry his daughter to someone so destitute. For now, he temporarily ignored this baseless threat, continuing to invite Zhang Moshan, who replied, "I don't like osmanthus." "Is that so? I don't believe it." Zhang Moshan, ___. Zhang Moshan could see through his intentions, but with so many guests present today, he most probably wouldn't dare to do anything excessive. "Then please lead the way." Fang Qiang beamed, quickly leading her towards the backyard. However, upon passing through a corridor, he stopped and turned to look at the three men who inexplicably followed. "What are you here for?" "I am Moshan's elder brother, accompanying her to appreciate the flowers." "Is that not allowed?" Zhang Moyang said calmly. "Fine, since he'll be his elder brother-in-law." Fang Qiang suppressed his annoyance, then pointed to Lu Shu and asked, "And you?" "I am Moshan's elder brother, too, accompanying her to appreciate the flowers." "Is that not allowed?" Lu Shu raised an eyebrow. "Elder brother?" Fang Qiang turned to Zhang Moshan, "Is he your elder brother?" Zhang Moshan glanced at Lu Shu and nodded awkwardly, "Yes." "And you?" Fang Qiang glared at Shen Cao, who just smiled amiably and nodded. "So many elder brothers." Fang Qiang looked at Zhang Moshan in disbelief. "Yes." ******. Finally, Fang Qiang stood in his meticulously prepared osmanthus garden, not understanding why he was admiring the flowers with three grown men. This was completely different from the romantic scene he had imagined. Zhang Moshan claimed to feel unwell as soon as they entered the osmanthus garden, asking the maidservant to take her to rest. Only her three brothers remained, standing there with blank expressions, occasionally engaging in conversation. "Ah, cow, smell that, it's so fragrant." "Yes, these are four-season osmanthus, so it blooms all year round and not just in autumn. The scent isn't too strong and quite pleasant." "Oh, that one is huge. We can also plant some in the courtyard." "Can we plant a pomelo tree too? I'm craving pomelos." "Sure." Fang Qiang watched them standing under his osmanthus tree with smiles on their faces. This scene was so familiar as he had rehearsed something like this 1,000 times in his mind. This was the romantic scene he wanted, but now it had become him planting trees while others enjoyed the shade. Fang Qiang got furious and shouted, "Get out of here!" Both Lu Shu and Shen Cao looked at him simultaneously, then Lu Shu raised his foot. Fang Qiang reflexively covered his stomach and took 2 steps back, only to realize he was only moving forward. Next moment, he heard Lu Shu say, "Mei Mei, he's telling us to leave." "Okay, then let's go quickly," Zhang Moshan said. Fang Qiang turned abruptly to stop them. No, I meant them, not you." "But they are my brothers, how can I make them leave?" "There's no danger here." As soon as the words fell, Lu Shu casually exclaimed, "Oh no," grabbing Shen Cao's arm, "this ground is slippery, my foot hurts." "Fang Qiang, can you be any more fake? Then let's go find a doctor." Zhang Moyang immediately said, let's go." Suppressing a smile, Shen Cao went along with the act, supporting him as they walked forward, whispering, "I have something to ask the county magistrate about." You go back with Zhang Moyang first. Wei Shu was intending to question Shen Cao what he needed from the county magistrate but was instantly captivated by his profile. Noticing his intense gaze, Shen Cao asked in confusion, "What's wrong? You have something on your face." "What?" Shen Cao touched his face, but found nothing. "Let me help you." Wei Shu reached out his thumb and wiped his cheek twice. With a gentle touch, Shen Cao lifted his gaze to meet Wei Shu's eyes, then after Wei Shu stopped, he asked, "Are you done wiping?" "Not yet." Wei Shu's neck flushed slightly, feigning composure as he continued to pat his face. Fang Qiang, who was conversing with Zhang Moshan, glanced up and incidentally saw the two men standing so close, touching faces and locking eyes. He cursed inwardly. Wasn't this affectionate scene something he had imagined 1,000 times? Before the banquet even began, the Zhang siblings announced they would take Wei Shu to see a doctor and bid farewell to the county magistrate. Glancing at Wei Shu, who was piggybacking on Shen Cao, the county magistrate couldn't discern whether what he was told was the truth or not, but he didn't persuade them otherwise. He only casted a glance at his disappointing son before letting them leave. Shortly afterwards, he saw the person carrying Wei Shu on his back return, heading straight towards him with courtesy and asked, "Lord Fang, I have something to discuss with you. Can we go somewhere else?" As night fell, the banquet had already begun. In the courtyard filled with guests, a figure slipped away from the corner, unnoticed by anyone. Stepping out of the bustling gate, Shen Cao breathed a sigh of relief. Here, no one recognized him, sparing him the trouble of exchanging pleasantries with unfamiliar people. He turned and headed towards the Zhang family's direction. Just as he took a few steps, a figure suddenly darted out from the alley, covering his eyes from behind. Shen Cao remained quiet for a moment, then suddenly chuckled, "I thought you went to the Zhang residence, why are you still here? Was it that easy to guess?" Wei Shu smiled as he let go of his hand, walking back to the inn together with him as he asked, "What did you talk to the county magistrate about?" "The bandits." Wei Shu paused, recalling those damn bandits that had left him penniless. But then he thought that if not for that encounter with the bandits, he might never have met Ah Cao. "A few days ago, I overheard others in the inn saying that the bandits have been active again recently. With the corn ready for harvesting, they've started stealing crops. With reduced harvests, it's hard for the farmers to make ends meet," Shen Cao said. No wonder Hui Shang mentioned an increasing number of people coming to beg for porridge recently. What did the county magistrate say about it? He said he would send people to capture the bandits. Let's hope he means it. Shen Cao paused, his expression darkening. I've inquired around. This group of bandits has committed multiple crimes, yet the officials have yet to capture them. When questioned, they always say they were pursuing them, but the terrain is difficult, or they'll notify them if there's any news. In that case, you've probably wasted your breath this time as well, Wei Shu shrugged. If it's a waste of breath, then I'll just have to run more errands and report it. Shen Cao said. Glancing at him sideways, Wei Shu sensed a hint of another meaning in his calm tone, as if he had already made a plan about this and was just waiting to see what response the county magistrate would give. But he had no power, no money, and no influence. It was as easy for the county magistrate to crush him as it was to crush an ant. Okay, you can do whatever you want, I'll accompany you. Wei Shu said. Shen Cao's eyes flickered, gazing at his profile, the dim light from the street casting shadows on his face. Despite the faint shadows, they couldn't conceal his carefree smile. Shen Cao couldn't help but look at him a few more times before slowly curling up his lips. All right. The street was lively, much more vibrant and entertaining than the nights in the village. Suddenly, Shen Cao slowed his pace, as if he had thought of something and turned to ask, "Do you want to take a stroll?" "Where?" Wei Shu asked. "Anywhere, is there anywhere you want to go?" Wei Shu initially intended to refuse, thinking there was nothing worth seeing in this small town, but just as he was about to decline, he suddenly realized that this was an opportunity for the two of them to stroll together, to build their relationship. Then let's just wander around. Okay. Wei Shu and Shen Kao wandered the streets together. The previously dull streets now felt different, and even aimlessly walking around brought them a sense of joy. As Wei Shu was about to step on Shen Kao's shadow, Shen Kao suddenly stopped and turned to look at him. He nervously lifted his head. Why did you stop? What did you and Hui Shang, Zhang Moyang and the others do when you went out? Shen Kao asked. Hey! Wei Shu turned his eyes around and realized he couldn't come up with anything to say. He chuckled awkwardly. We didn't do anything special, just wandering around. Really? Shen Kao looked at him with a mixture of belief and doubt. I tend to take your words seriously. Wei Shu felt for the first time how difficult it was to lie. Seeing his guilty expression, Shen Kao knew that he and Zhang Moyang and the others had gone out to do something secretly, something they didn't want him to know. Did you go to the gambling den? Absolutely not. Wei Shu straightened up immediately. Seriously, after you mentioned it last time, I haven't gone to the gambling den again. Oh, sir, you're here again. At this moment, a young woman walked by, dressed in a provocative outfit, reaching out to grab Wei Shu. Why didn't you bring young Master Zhang with you today? Wei Shu paled in shock. Wasn't this the courtesan from before? He looked up and realized they were right in front of the brothel. Sir? Again. Shen Kao's eyes narrowed, his voice chilly. Please let me explain. Wei Shu pleaded. End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 23. Lu Shu was eager to explain, but when Shen Kao looked at him quietly, he didn't know where to start. The courtesan glanced around, first drooling over the faces of these two handsome men, then she noticed their attire and realized that they were poor boys. Without Zhang Moyang's intervention, they probably couldn't even afford the tea money. She chuckled softly, I just came to say hello. I know even if you're willing, you're powerless. Before leaving, she glanced meaningfully at Lu Shu, her eyes filled with sympathy and pity. Lu Shu, ... Turning back, Shen Kao had already turned and walked towards the inn. Ah Kao, ah Kao. Lu Shu hurried to catch up, repeatedly assuring, I really didn't do anything. Believe me, I'm innocent. Okay. Okay. Just okay. Lu Shu cautiously glanced at him, finding his usually smiling face now devoid of any expression, making him more anxious than ever. Are you angry? No. It's suspicious if you're not. Lu Shu quieted down. After walking for a while, as if finally unable to bear the atmosphere, Shen Kao felt his sleeve being secretly pulled by someone. He turned his head to look. The mischievous one who had done wrong slowly raised his eyes, tugging at his sleeve, looking innocent and pitiful. I'm sorry. Shen Kao's irritation inexplicably dissipated a little. He couldn't quite pinpoint what he was angry about. He had never made friends like this before, nor gambling and visiting brothels. His frustrated emotions were mixed with some inexplicable frustration. But looking at the deliberately innocent look of the other party, he finally relaxed his tense expression and asked, Will you go again next time? Lu Shu shook his head like a rattle drum. Can you quit gambling and visiting brothels from now on? Shen Kao asked again. To be honest, that's a bit difficult to promise. Eating, drinking, playing and gambling have been his greatest joys for over a decade. It's extremely difficult to change these habits that had accumulated over so many years. As for visiting brothels, he stared at Shen Kao's face for a long time, making his heart flutter, feeling that this was even harder than quitting gambling. Super hard. Seeing him silent for a long time, Shen Kao turned and walked away. Hey, wait. Okay, okay. I promise you, I won't go to gambling dens and brothels anymore. Lu Shu subconsciously reached out to stop him, accidentally grabbing his wrist. Shen Cao still didn't seem to notice, squinting slightly, "Are you just pacifying me?" His little trick was seen through, and Lu Shu dryly laughed twice, then gritted his teeth, looking resigned. "Okay, I promise I won't go to gambling dens and brothels anymore, would that do?" Shen Cao looked into his eyes, no longer hiding any guilt or cunning. Then he withdrew his gaze. "Let's go back, you should take your medicine." Lu Shu took 2 steps and suddenly realized that Shen Cao hadn't let go of his hand, so he pretended that nothing had happened and lightly held his wrist, smiling secretly all the way. Back at the inn, Shen Cao ensured that he finished his medicine before instructing the waiter to prepare hot water for bathing. As soon as the waiter left the room, he heard a tapping sound as Lu Shu tossed a purse onto the table. "This is for you." Lu Shu deliberately showed off a bit. "I won the bet today, plus the 10 taels winnings from archery, a total of 102 taels. Is that enough for the medicine expenses and the expenses in this inn for these days?" "It's enough, and there's even some left." "Then the remaining amount is for you, as living expenses for these days." Lu Shu saw him about to refuse, then smiled and said, "Besides, I can't keep money on me. Maybe I'll spend it all tomorrow." At his words, Shen Cao could only accept it reluctantly. "Okay, I'll help you keep it. Let me know if you need money." "Okay." As the waiter brought in the hot water, Shen Cao went behind the screen to prepare for his bath. Lu Shu, who was wearing clean clothes, walked out and saw Shen Cao sitting at the table reading a book. Suddenly, he asked, "Are you planning to spend your whole life with books?" Shen Cao looked up at him in puzzlement. Lu Shu sighed and sat down at the table. "Nothing, go take a bath quickly." Shen Cao went behind the screen, and Lu Shu picked up the book on the table, looking at it casually. He couldn't understand it at all, with his head starting to spin. He flopped onto the table, feeling drowsy and wanting to sleep. Listening to the sound of water in the room, he suddenly felt a bit restless. Turning his head, he stared in the direction of the screen, where there was only a blurry figure. For some reason, he sighed deeply, then quickly rolled onto the bed. Soon, footsteps approached the bed. Shen Cao stopped and asked, "Xiao Wu, why are you curling up at the foot of the bed?" "Of course, it's because the head of the bed is closer to the sound of water. I'm afraid I'll lose control and drain you dry." Lu Shu roared in his heart but weakly said, "Just full from eating." Shen Cao chuckled, "Do you want me to rub your belly for you?" Lu Shu, ... Lu Shu immediately opened his robes and said, "Please do." Shen Cao, ... Shen Cao looked at his almost glowing upper body and said, "Just the belly, no need to bare your chest or even lift your clothes." "Okay." Lu Shu reluctantly closed his robes. He regretted it soon after. The two lay at the head of the bed with Shen Cao's hand rubbing Lu Shu's belly through his clothes. The warmth transferred to his body, which was gradually getting hotter. Lu Shu suddenly felt a bit alarmed, a blush appearing on his face. He pushed away Shen Cao's hand, pulled the blanket over himself and stuttered, It's fine now. I can sleep now." "Okay." Shen Cao extinguished the candle and lay down for a while. He unexpectedly found that the person who usually fell asleep as soon as he touched the bed was still awake. Although the other man was silent and lying straight, it made him more awake because once he fell asleep, this guy would cling to him like a leech. It was late at night, and he slowly closed his eyes in the quiet darkness, his breathing becoming steady. Until he felt someone touching his hand, he sleepily turned over, instinctively pulling the other man into his arms and murmured, "Go to sleep." After a while, he seemed to hear the other man whispered softly, "Okay," before falling into a deep sleep. The next day, Shen Cao woke up and found Lu Shu already dressed neatly, standing beside the bed and saying good morning to him. He was stunned and blurted out, "You're up so early, are you going to the brothel again?" Having spent the whole night with restless thoughts and wanting to show that he could also wake up early for once, Lu Shu replied ambiguously, Did this leave him with multiple psychological shadows? No, I just suddenly wanted to wake up early. Lu Shu smiled and stared at him without blinking. Full of doubts, Shen Cao got up to wash, and when they were having breakfast, he said, "Big brother Chao will come to town today to sell things. We can hitch a ride back with him." "A ride?" Lu Shu was surprised. "Yeah, on his donkey cart. Last time, after passing out, it was the basket weaver who brought him over, so he had no idea that he was dragged over by a donkey cart." The thought of riding in a conspicuous donkey cart made him uncomfortable. He had never experienced such a thing before, so he couldn't help but swallow his saliva nervously. "Do we really have to ride a donkey cart? You can walk back if you want." If there was only one choice, he could endure walking for over an hour, but now there was a convenient option. It made him feel somewhat conflicted. He really wanted to mention the idea of hiring a carriage, but thinking that he had just handed over the money to the other man last night and would have to spend a lot of it the very next day, he felt embarrassed. *****. In the morning, Zhang Moyang learned from Shen Cao that him and Lu Shu would be returning to the village today, so he specially rushed over to bid farewell. "Take it." Zhang Moyang placed a bow in front of him, which was the one Lu Shu had used in the competition. "Is this for me?" Lu Shu was somewhat surprised, picking it up and trying it out, then felt very satisfied. "You're now like a son to me. Get lost." Zhang Moyang spat, "This was bought by Shen Cao from me, saying it's for you to play with. I think he's out of his mind." At this, Lu Shu looked at Shen Cao in surprise. "Really?" Shen Cao nodded. "It suits you." Lu Shu asked Zhang Moyang about the price. He was startled when he learned it and quickly declined, saying, "No need to buy it, it's too expensive. It's enough to feed us for a year." Zhang Moyang hadn't really intended to sell it to him. Rarely finding a like-minded friend, he would gladly give it away for free. However, since Shen Cao had mentioned buying it, he naturally expected payment. If there was a business to be made, why not take it, especially from someone he didn't like, let alone someone who didn't like his sister. "Forget it, just consider this." Zhang Moyang's words were cut off as he saw Shen Cao pulling Lu Shu aside to whisper something. "Hey, are you guys ignoring me? Do you really not want it, or is it just you think it's too expensive?" Shen Cao asked. "It's too expensive. 30+ taels of silver for just a toy, it's too extravagant." Lu Shu thought about how he only earned a few coins each day from his long trips to and from town. How could he bear to let Shen Cao buy such an expensive thing just for him to play with? How could he enjoy it with peace of mind? "It's not just a toy, you can use it for hunting too," Shen Cao said. "Isn't that more cost-effective than spending money on meat?" Lu Shu blinked and was suddenly enlightened. He slapped his forehead and said, "Right, why didn't I think of hunting?" In the past, playing with bow and arrows was purely for fun, and he had never considered using them as a tool for making a living. With this in mind, he felt enlightened again. Okay, when I go back, I'll go hunting." Knowing that they were still going to buy it, Zhang Moyang didn't say anything. Anyway, he had already received the money. He watched as Shen Cao began copying books for him again, then turned to ask Lu Shu, "Since you're going back to the village tonight, want to go for a stroll now?" "Where to?" Shen Cao reflexively raised his head. "The brothel." Lu Shu, ... "You actually want to go to the brothel?" Zhang Moyang was greatly shocked. Shen Cao remained silent, looking at him expressionlessly. Misinterpreting Shen Cao's gaze, Zhang Moyang thought he was pleading for it, so he blurted out, "I can take you, but the condition is that you can't suddenly lose interest. Otherwise, if I take you there and you can't perform, I'll really lose face. I can't even lift my head passing by the brothel these days." Lu Shu's pupils suddenly contracted, but Shen Cao quickly grasped the key point and turned to look at him. "Are you suspecting that you're not physically fit and that's why you went to the brothel?" Lu Shu was dumbfounded, neither nodding nor shaking his head, and merely stood there like a piece of wood. But Zhang Moyang couldn't hold back his laughter. Looks like he does like men after all. Lu Shu, ... At that moment, Shen Cao, who had been silent, suddenly asked, "Have you liked men since you were young?" Lu Shu slowly looked at him, noticing his sincere expression, and gradually calmed down from his panicking and irritability, but obediently answered, "No." "Then did you only recently realize that you like men?" "Yet." Lu Shu scratched his face awkwardly. "What made you realize this?" Shen Cao asked slowly. "The weather? The environment? Or men?" Lu Shu suddenly looked up. "Do you have someone you like?" Shen Cao came to the conclusion. Lu Shu's ears turned red. Zhang Moyang sighed in amazement, circling around him a few times, quite amused. "You can actually feel embarrassed." "Lu Shu, get lost." Shen Cao ignored their banter and continued, "As your friend, can I know who that person is?" Lu Shu pursed his lips and turned his head away from him, only to find himself facing Zhang Moyang. Seeing him staring at him, Zhang Moyang felt goosebumps rise on his skin. He walked over to Lu Shu, took a deep breath and boldly said, "All right, don't force him. The truth is, he likes me. That's all." Lu Shu, ... Damn you! Shen Cao looked at Zhang Moyang in astonishment, his brows furrowing involuntarily. "Get out of here!" Lu Shu couldn't take it anymore, pushing Zhang Moyang away. "This is none of your business." Zhang Moyang grumbled as he stepped back, rubbing his chest, and then he saw Lu Shu taking 3 steps to stand opposite Shen Cao, leaning over the table to look into Shen Cao's eyes. "You're so smart, why haven't you guessed yet? With you around, who else could I like?" End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 24. In fact, Shen Cao had an inkling about this, but he was just not sure about it. If it's only recently that someone he likes appeared, and he's the one he's been in contact with the most, it's unlikely that he would like Hui Shang, who was a monk, right? But when Zhang Moyang said that the person that Lu Shu liked was him, Shen Cao was momentarily very shocked. The words "you're not suitable" immediately surfaced in his mind, but then he thought that these two might have similar interests and could possibly hit it off. They might even feel an instant connection, with both willing to pursue it and destined to be together in this life and the next. However, when he heard Lu Shu admit that the person he liked was himself, he was stunned for a moment. His emotions were complicated, and for a while, he couldn't figure out what to do or how to react. But he calmly looked back at him. "All right, I've said what I needed to say. I don't expect an answer from you right now. If you feel troubled and want me to leave, that's fine, too." Lu Shu said, feeling relieved after getting it off his chest. Since he was a child, whenever he liked something, he would immediately find a way to get it. He had never experienced this kind of hesitation before, which had kept him conflicted for a whole day and night. Accepting the fact that he liked men wasn't difficult for him, as he wasn't a conventional person, and it was normal to have his own preferences. The main concern was that he was afraid Shen Cao couldn't handle it. If he rejected him, he would have to leave, and then, the difficulty of pursuit would be even higher. At least for now, he could strive for the best position. "I don't mean to drive you away," Shen Cao said. "That's good then," Lu Shu exclaimed happily, clenching his fist. Shen Cao gazed into his bright eyes, still unable to form words. Lu Shu decided to be considerate and said, "I'll let you continue transcribing your book. I won't disturb you anymore." With that, he hooked his arm around the dumbfounded Zhang Moyang and went out for a stroll. The room fell silent, with a gentle breeze flipping through the pages of a book. When Hui Shang entered the room, he paused, walked up with a puzzled expression and waved his hand in front of Shen Cao. "Hey, what's wrong? Why are you spacing out? It's almost noon, and you haven't written a single word. ******. Are you kidding me? Do you really like Cao Shen? Zhang Moyang still couldn't believe it, persistently questioning Lu Shu. Yet, Lu Shu scratched his ear. How many times do you want to ask? No, I don't understand. How can he be so popular? Zhang Moyang felt incredulous. As a man, he failed to understand why were his good sister and friends so obsessed with that guy, while he himself. Hey, you really don't like me that way. Zhang Moyang said melancholically. Lu Shu glanced at him. Zhang Moyang felt helpless. This Zhang Moyang is a 7 feet tall man with millions of wealth and can't even compare to the penniless Cao Shen. Suddenly, Lu Shu looked at him with admiration. You have millions in wealth. Zhang Moyang choked, pinching the section of his little finger. Just almost, but in this town, our Zhang family is considered wealthy. Only in this town, Lu Shu shrugged. What else can I do? I've only been to other places. Ah, speaking of which, do you know about the wealthiest man in Jiangnan? Lu Shu's pupils dilated, turning to look at him. Why? When I was a kid, I went to Jinling with my father, and it really opened my eyes. Even the chamber pot for guests was made of gold. Ah, so extravagant. Lu Shu seemed to be in a dream, as if the days of using gold spoons and gold chamber pots were already distant from him. He was so arrogant back then. I wonder how things are now, Zhang Moyang marveled. I remember, they had a few sons. Look at them, how did they get so lucky? And look at you, Task Tisk. Speaking of you, why are you smiling so brightly? Well, I think what you said makes sense. Lu Shu clenched his fist and coughed a few times, then suddenly asked, have you met those sons? I've seen 2 of them but I haven't seen the others. But I heard there's one who's extremely handsome who is a dandy. Lu Shu, ... You can skip the second part. I've caught a glimpse of him from afar. Lu Shu was startled, staring at him intently. Do you remember what he looks like? Who could remember that? It's been so long, and besides, we never really faced each other head-on. At the time, I couldn't see very clearly. Zhang Moyang recalled the scene vaguely. He was strolling down the street, everything was a blur when suddenly a commotion broke out in the crowd. A stone whizzed past him and swoosh, hitting a man diagonally behind him. Looking up, he saw a group of young lads leaning against the window of a nearby tavern. The leader was a young boy holding a slingshot, a mocking smile playing on his lips. As the people behind him cursed loudly, that lad, amidst cheers, smirked and walked away from the window. All I remember is his back, but he was quite handsome, Zhang Moyang reminisced, stroking his chin. I even practiced with a slingshot when I got back, but I never mastered that kind of accuracy. Can't you learn something better? Lu Shu slapped his head suddenly. What's wrong with you? Even if Cao Shen said that, can you trust it? Seems so. But thanks to his reminder, those seemingly forgettable moments gradually became clear in his memory, tinged with nostalgia. I think his name was Lu Shu. What? Lu Shu reflexively looked at him. I think I heard the guy who got hit shouting Lu Shu. I don't know who gave him that name, though. It's so plain and simple. Get out of here. Lu Shu jumped down from the tree agilely. I'm not arguing with you anymore. I'm going back to play with Ah Cao. No, can't you at least help me down? I can't get down by myself. Zhang Moyang sat on the tree, wailing. After Lu Shu helped him down, the two agreed that if they had a chance to come to town again, they would go drinking and gambling together. Forget about gambling. I promised Ah Cao I wouldn't go to the gambling den anymore, and definitely not to the brothel, either, Lu Shu said quickly. Tisk, are you even a man? Zhang Moyang scoffed. You haven't even married yet, and you're already acting like a house husband. It's precisely because I haven't married yet that I need to behave myself. Lu Shu shook his head. No wonder you're still unmarried at your age. I'm only 18. In the blink of an eye, you'll be 80. Lu Shu casually repeated his father's mantra, if you don't get married soon, you'll be buried. Get lost. On the way back to the inn, they passed through a street bustling with activity. Today was a market day, and many people were carrying goods to buy and sell. Remembering what Shen Cao had said that the bamboo weaver was coming over, Lu Shu turned and headed toward that street. After some searching, they found the bamboo weaver sitting in a corner. The man sat on a small stool, showing no intention of haggling or calling out. He sat quietly with his head bowed, weaving baskets. At that moment, someone approached and asked, "How much for this bamboo mat?" 20 yuan, the bamboo weaver replied stiffly, lifting his head. The person seemed taken aback by his appearance and cautiously asked, "Could you sell it for 10 yuan?" The bamboo weaver cleared his throat and after a long pause, managed to say one word, "Okay." Lu Shu sighed heavily at seeing him sell his bamboo mat at a loss when he had spent days making it. He approached, resting his hands on his knees and asked, "Is this how you sell things? Selling at a loss?" Seeing him, the bamboo weaver's tense expression relaxed slightly. "How's your health?" "Pretty good. I'll be fine from today and can go back now," Lu Shu smiled, walking over to him and looking at the pile of goods in front of him. "Are you here to sell goods or to do good deeds?" The bamboo weaver lowered his head in shame. He dreaded doing business the most. Customers were always scared off by his frightening face and expression, and he didn't like bargaining back and forth with people. If it weren't for the scarcity of people in the village and the low demand, he would never have come to town to sell his wares. Regardless of the size of the business, you have to put aside your pride first. Lu Shu patted him on the shoulder, then stood by the roadside and started calling out, "Bamboo chopsticks, bamboo bowls, bamboo mats for beds, sleep soundly and comfortably, bamboo ladles, bamboo baskets, bamboo backpacks, we have everything you need." Upon hearing this, passers-by knew what was being sold here and quickly gathered around. Some came to pick out goods, while others came to watch the hustle and bustle. A few girls huddled together, whispering and pointing at Lu Shu. Finally, they pushed forward a brave girl who smiled and asked, "Young man, how much for this bamboo mat?" 28 yuan, but for a beauty like you, I can give you a discount of 8 yuan, Lu Shu said charmingly. "I'll take 3 bamboo mats." The girl hugged the bamboo mats and went back to find her sisters. The sisters nudged her, "Hey, weren't you supposed to find out how old he is? Why did you buy so many bamboo mats?" "Oh, right." The girl remembered the task at hand, but when her gaze fell on Lu Shu, she shyly covered her face. "But he said I'm pretty." The bamboo weaver watched in astonishment. He had sold the mats at the original price, yet these people still thanked him for giving discount. Is this the art of marketing? If only he had that skill. Today's goods were unexpectedly sold out quickly. Normally, he would have to wait until dark to take the remaining goods back to the village. But today, as he looked at the high sun, he fell into contemplation. "Let's go to the inn and wait for Ah Cow together," Lu Shu suggested. The bamboo weaver nodded and followed him to the inn, pulling the cart. "It's hot outside, let's have some tea upstairs," Lu Shu led him to the guest room. Hearing movement at the door, Shen Cao instinctively looked up. Meeting Lu Shu's gaze, he was momentarily speechless but found Lu Shu smiling at him as if nothing had happened. He stepped aside, and the bamboo weaver followed him in. After exchanging greetings, they checked the sky. It was still too hot, so they planned to wait a while before traveling back. After pouring a cup of tea for the bamboo weaver, Lu Shu sat down at the table, resting his chin on his hands, staring fixedly at Shen Cao. "Shen Cao, ... His hand trembled slightly as he wrote. Finally completing the task under the scorching gaze, Shen Cao stood up, pretending to close the window and took a deep breath. When he turned around, he found Lu Shu chatting with the bamboo weaver about business, causing the bamboo weaver to nod repeatedly in agreement. On the way back, Shen Kao listened to the bamboo weaver's explanation of what had happened and couldn't help but laugh. Brother, you should bring Xiao Wu with you to the market in the future. He's much better at doing business than us. Lu Shu laughed. Feeling useful, he stretched out comfortably and leaned back on the cart. As the cart swayed, he looked at the distorted sunset and glanced at the figure sitting next to him. His lips curved into a smile. Would you two consider a long-term partnership with me? A long-term partnership? The bamboo weaver turned to look at him. How do we partner? For how long? Let's talk about your matter later, Lu Shu replied to the bamboo weaver, then turned to Shen Kao with a smile. We can collaborate indefinitely. You take care of me in this life, and I'll take care of you in the next. How about that? Shen Kao cleared his throat, turned his head slightly and looked at the sunset. The faint glow spread over him, covering the slight blush on his ears. Back in the village, after the bamboo weaver stopped the cart and they all got off, he nervously pulled Lu Shu aside. With a mix of nervousness and shyness, he asked, "Can I join your plan of supporting each other in old age?" Lu Shu, ... Shen Kao suppressed a smile before he made his escape. After politely declining the bamboo weaver's idea, the two returned to the courtyard one after the other. Lu Shu was surprised to find that the chicks had grown plumper in just a few days. When we're not at home, who feeds them? Shen Kao said, I asked Big Brother to help. They're growing fast, Lu Shu said happily as he touched the chicks. They're just a little ugly. Grow up quickly and start laying eggs. In the evening, Lu Shu enjoyed another meal cooked by Shen Kao. His mood was somewhat complex before, he had praised the food just to comfort Ah Cao's fragile heart. Now, when he said it was delicious, it was to seduce Ah Cao's beautiful soul. Different moods seemed to change the taste of the food. How come your cooking has improved so much in just a few days? Don't talk nonsense, Shen Kao said with a straight face. No, I'm speaking the truth. Lu Shu was about to finish his sentence when his face suddenly changed. He put down his bowl and rushed outside to vomit. Embarrassed, he returned to the room and explained, it's not intentional. It's just that I feel like I've eaten eggshells, Shen Kao said, spitting out eggshells from his mouth. Yes. Maybe it was more than just eggshells. After bathing at night, Lu Shu didn't immediately return to his room. Instead, he sat in the courtyard, enjoying the breeze and moonlight. Or pretending to enjoy the moonlight. Waiting for someone was the real purpose. His eyes kept glancing at the house, but unfortunately, he couldn't see anything. He could only hear the faint sound of water. Finally, Shen Kao came out after bathing. Under the moonlight, Lu Shu looked up at him, feeling a bit like in a trance. He thought to himself that this handsome man looked good no matter what he wore, even in these plain hemp clothes. Lu Shu coughed twice, indicating that he had something to say. Shen Kao took out his changed clothes and soaked them in the basin. Hearing the movement, he turned to look at Lu Shu, who was fanning himself, and asked with concern, "It's so hot nowadays, why are you still wearing so much? Do you have something on your mind?" Shen Kao, ... End chapter.